So is Republican inviting a dream come true for any White House Democrat? Joining me now is Lanny Davis, special counsel to President Bill Clinton from 1996 to 1998. Welcome, Mr. Davis. We heard Jennifer Granholm there. What do you make? You worked in the White House under Bill Clinton, and you also worked there for George W. Bush. What do you make of the current GOP race?
I have to correct that I served on a panel that President Bush appointed, but I didn't work in his White House. Look, I think the Republicans are committing political suicide, not just because of their hyperbole, which moderates that decide elections are turned off about, but the way they're behaving and the negativity is violating all that Ronald Reagan ever said about the 11th commandment, much less Democrats have had some pretty tough primaries. I certainly went through one when I supported Senator Clinton, and Obama and Senator Clinton really went at it. But the level of personal character assassination and negativity, and especially Mitt Romney's ads and money being spent tearing each other apart, I must say isn't very pretty to behold, but it's very pleasant for Democrats to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help thinking when I see them ripping each other's throats out that although it's always been the case that in these things it gets ugly and negativity comes out, it can't have ever been quite as bad as this, and it doesn't seem to be that effective. I mean, Mitt Romney is throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at these things, and he's still struggling to maintain a front-runner position. So how effective is it to carpet bomb your opponents like this?
I think that Romney has rendered himself unelectable in the general election, and I think Rick Santorum, if he had stayed with the blue-collar narrative, would have been much better off than heading into the religious right territory that turns off moderates. And Newt Gingrich actually had a lot of promise as the idea person, staying positive in most of the early debates, is why he had his comeback. But again, the negativity that he was deluged with, and then he got angry, didn't help him either. Look, Barack Obama has a tough re-election no matter what. This still is a 50-50 divided country. Even right now, President Obama's approval rating is only about 50%. So we Democrats are going to have a tough contest, but it couldn't be going any better from our perspective watching the Republicans destroy each other with character attacks as opposed to debating the issues.
Is it likely or possible that you could see somebody else on the Republican side jump in the race? I mean, is that even a possibility, do you think?
No, it happens every 4 years when people are unhappy with their candidates. If people don't put themselves through the process and test the electorate and let people vote for or against you, the dark horse, one of my favorite movies was Henry Fonda, The Best Man, and Cliff Robertson, and the dark horse ultimately was nominated. That doesn't happen anymore with primaries and elections, and anyone who thinks they can get nominated by not putting themselves through this difficult process, it's utterly a fantasy.
What do you think of these super PACs? There's a lot of controversy raging about them. Do you think that they should be prohibited? I mean, President Obama said he hated the whole idea of them, and now he's endorsing them with as much gusto as his rivals. What do you think?
Well, it's a horrible fact of life that money decides elections, and that now, after what the Republicans have done, negative money with no limits can really corrupt the process. I happen to be off the reservation as a liberal Democrat, which I am, that I think the Supreme Court decision made a ruling here that while it had terrible results allowing these super PACs, it's still very much First Amendment, free expression, protective. So I have great conflicts about whether the Supreme Court was right or wrong, but I think it's terrible policy and terrible for the country, and money is corrupting our politics on both sides, the Democratic as well as the Republican side.
Let's take a short break, Lanny. I want to come back and talk to you about this PBS documentary on Bill Clinton. I watched it and was enthralled, I have to say, but I know that you are livid with it, and I want to find out why after the break.
Thank you.
Piers Morgan Tonight. Brought to you by Atlantis, Paradise Island, Bahamas. Visit Atlantis.com for your fortnight free.
February is the month to book your Atlantis vacation. Stay 3 nights and your 4th night is free. And receive up to a $400 airfare credit. Plus, kids stay and eat free. Enjoy more sun, more fun, more amazing adventures than ever before. Call 1-800-ATLANTIS now and get your 4th night free and up to a $400 airfare credit. Hurry, this is the last week to book.
I am loving this Greek yogurt.
I like Yoplait.
It is Yoplait.
But you said it was Greek.
Mm-hmm.
So is it Greek or is it Yoplait?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yoplait. It is so Greek.
I have a cold. I took NyQuil, but I'm still stuffed up.
Truth is, NyQuil doesn't unstuff your nose.
Really?
Alka-Seltzer Plus liquid gels fights your worst cold symptoms, plus it relieves your stuffy nose.
Thank you.
That's the cold truth.
21st Century Insurance here with two identical cars, or what used to be cars. One was covered by them, the other by 21st. There's been some damage. Both were covered against total loss, so both cars can be replaced. Here's the difference, though. Drivers who switch to 21st save an average of $508 a year. Now, that is a crushing blow. Call 888-422-1085. 21st Century Auto Insurance.
Dig it, 21st. My dad never talked about his family, and I wasn't sure where to start, so I went to Ancestry.com and started with me. Soon, these little leaf hints popped up and led me to my great-grandfather Ernesto, the barber, and his brother, the barber, and their cousin, the barber. Apparently, I come from a long line of hair.
Get started with your family history at Ancestry.com, and we'll help you make your own discoveries.
So I have a great idea.
Simple online collaboration will change the way you work. And perhaps a whole lot more.
Great work, everyone.
Visit GoToMeeting.com and sign up for your free 30-day trial.
America's Choice 2012. Special coverage starts Tuesday night, 6 Eastern.
With the government closed, Clinton prowled the empty halls of the White House, deprived of the human contact he craved. Among the few people permitted to come to work were the White House interns, including a 22-year-old named Monica Lewinsky.
That's from a new PBS documentary about Bill Clinton, a documentary some critics say focused too much on that kind of scandal, not enough about his achievements as president. Back now, Lanny Davis, who was a legal counsel for President Bill Clinton. So, Lanny, come on, you're not happy with this. I mean, I watched it all, 4 hours of it. I found it gripping television. I didn't get a sense as I watched it, if I'm honest, that I felt that it was disproportionate attention to the scandalous elements, purely because some of them, like the Monica Lewinsky thing, were pretty big fare, weren't they? I mean, you talk about impeachment. This isn't a small-time scandal for a president to deal with. So why are you feeling that it was disproportionate?
Well, first, full disclosure, I'm here on my own as an old friend of the Clintons. I didn't call and ask them to do this, and I wrote a column today that's been pretty widely circulated, and I did this on my own. I'm talking about proportionality. Yes, the Lewinsky story was a big story, and President Clinton apologized to the American people. The impeachment was a partisan party line vote, needed to be in the story, but they forgot to mention that out of 55 Republicans, they couldn't get 51, a majority, to support that very partisan impeachment process. So, yes, that had to be part of this. But what my point is proportionality based upon minutes. You had 4 hours, and out of those 4 hours, at least 3 of the 4, and probably higher than 75%, were devoted to completely bogus scandals. For example, Whitewater took up about 4 years of the Clinton presidency, led to the appointment of an independent counsel directly straight line to the impeachment. Whitewater, according to Mr. Starr, led to no charges being made against either Clinton, despite all the column inches and all the time spent on this PBS broadcast, and all the other scandals in the first term were rabbit holes leading to nowhere. Rather than the achievements of the Clinton presidency, as a man who inherited a $300 billion deficit, left office with a $1 trillion surplus and a 65% approval rating, despite all those so-called scandals, yet those facts were left out of 4 hours of what is a PBS, not an E! Entertainment Network broadcast.
I mean, I can understand why you, as a friend of the Clintons and someone that worked closely with him, might feel that. I've got to say, though, that I was watching it, as I say, pretty enthralled by what I was watching. It brought back so many good memories to me of Bill Clinton, and I ended up at the end of it thinking, God, I wish that guy was still president, as I'm sure many viewers did. So although I get your point, I'm not sure I would be too hard about it, because to me, some of those sort of scandalous elements of the Clinton administration made him almost what he was. You know, he was a brilliant president who had a few problems which were focused on as well, but he also had a lot of great achievements, and people miss him, and his approval ratings now are higher than they've ever been, aren't they? I mean, people love the guy.
Well, look, you're PBS, and you have a commitment in the American Perspective series to history, and you're not telling good history if you spend 3/4 of your time about bogus scandals, scandals that went nowhere. Yes, there was a point to be made about the horrible experience President Clinton went through in the Monica Lewinsky matter and the impeachment process, of course. But the disproportionality, not to talk about 23 million jobs and one 60-second spot by Robert Rubin, the former Secretary of Treasury, who said that Bill Clinton got a budget bill passed in '93 without one Republican vote, cutting $500 billion of spending and $500 billion increased taxes, where the Republicans all said there would be unemployment because of that budget bill. And the result was, as I said, one of the most successful presidencies in terms of the economy. How do you not tell that story where you spend so much time about Whitewater and Filegate and Hillary Clinton's billing records? That is a rabbit hole of a non-story. So I'm talking about factual accuracy. I can see why you'd be enthralled. It was entertaining, but it's not on a PBS network about American history. It's on Entertainment Weekly.
Maybe. I'd take a slight issue. I got to say, I enjoyed it on many levels. I thought it was entertaining, but I thought it was also politically fascinating. And the overall impression I got was exactly the one I got when I once saw Bill Clinton give a speech at the Labour Party conference in Blackpool in the north of England, and it was a howling, cold, wet day. He spoke without notes for an hour, and everybody was absolutely gripped by every word. It was incredible. And then afterwards, as if he couldn't get any more popular to the locals, he went marching down the promenade, bought a pint of bitter and a Big Mac and large fries. That is what the American president should be doing around the world.
That's Bill Clinton, and let me at least be a little bit more uplifting than so far. I've known the Clintons since law school. I met Hillary when her name was Rodham, and I met Bill Clinton the next year. And I followed his career, and we've been friends for many, many years. These are truly two great people. They're truly great friends, and Bill Clinton, as you've just pointed out, has become larger than life and proven, despite all the efforts to bring him down, including in the 2008 campaign where things got pretty nasty towards Bill Clinton. Look at how he's proved all of his critics wrong. He and Hillary Clinton today are probably two of the most popular people on the planet, not just in this country. So I'm here just as a friend, disappointed that there wasn't more balance for PBS. Maybe my standards for PBS were too high, but at least I agree that it was enthralling if you're looking for some form of an entertaining program. But for American history, for PBS, I thought it was disappointing, my opinion.
Well, we will have to agree to disagree, although I think our central point of agreement is probably more important. He was a fantastic president, and I think missed by a lot of people. Many people in Britain never understand your 8-year rule. You know, if we'd had our way, President Clinton would still be there.
He might be Prime Minister of...
probably a wider issue.
He'd probably get elected Prime Minister of the UK tomorrow. Maybe that would be a good idea for the UK.
He actually would, on a ticket of Big Mac, large fries and pints of beer. It would be a winning manifesto. Lanny Davis, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Piers. Thanks for having me, truly.